If you have been here for more than one Sunday during Lent, you may have noticed that the gospel readings have been a little bit long. Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We have evidence from the 2nd and 3rd century that these lessons that we've been reading this Lent were the ones that were used by the early church to educate adults who were preparing for baptism at Easter. You see, in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, Christianity was still illegal in the Roman Empire and still persecuted from time to time. And so people would have to meet in secret as Christians, and when new converts came into the faith, they were given time to have the faith explained to them. For the Sundays of Lent, and yes, Lent was already a season by the 2nd and 3rd century, for the Sundays of Lent, they would meet in the church for the service of the Word, and then when the baptized would go into another room for communion, those who weren't baptized would stay back, and they would receive teaching from the bishop. And we know from ancient documents that it was these long readings from the Gospel of John that served as the curriculum that prepared them for their baptism. They'd say, following Jesus is like Nicodemus going to Jesus at night and asking him about all the things that he's doing and what they all mean. And Jesus responding by saying, well, you have to be turned around. You have to be born anew. You have to be somebody different. The Spirit is going to blow through you and you're not going to know what happens. Well, that's kind of unsettling. And then the next lesson they would get would be the lesson about the Samaritan woman at the well. And the bishop would say to these new converts, guess what? You're going to be invited into a community with people you don't even like the Samaritan woman. But they're still going to be loved by God. And then you get to the lesson about the man who was born blind and suddenly can see. And so the new converts would be told, and you'll get to see the world in a new way. The problem is when you see the world in a new way, you're going to think that those who are in charge haven't got a clue what's going on. And when you tell them that, they are not going to be real happy about it. And finally, they get to the crux of John's gospel here, the raising of Lazarus. And the new converts to the faith would be told, and when you follow Jesus, you will come alive. The things in your life that are dead and lifeless and hold you back will be gone. And you will come out of that tomb and live. Now there's a problem. We just read this long lesson from John about the raising of Lazarus, but this one's too short. Believe it or not, it's too short. We need to read the next section too. Because in the next section, that's when the leadership in Jerusalem begins to plot to kill Jesus. How does that make sense? I mean, Jesus just got some guy out of the tomb, and now the leadership is so threatened that they're going to kill him? I mean, the reason for this is Caiaphas and the leadership in Jerusalem is afraid. Jesus is drawing these big crowds. What happens if the Romans feel threatened by this? Will they come down on us? Will they kill us? And so Caiaphas utters that famous statement, it would be better that one man die than a whole nation perish. And they begin to plot to kill Jesus. So the early converts were being told, you're going to come alive. You are going to come alive, but that doesn't mean the persecutions will stop. That doesn't mean that those in authority won't be threatened by this. But it was worth it to these early converts, because the bishop also taught them something else about John's gospel. Here's another secret I'm going to let you in on. Whenever John's gospel uses the words eternal life, John is not talking about the next life. Oh yeah, he believed in the next life. He thoroughly believed that we would all make it to heaven. But But when he uses those words, eternal life, he always uses them with a present tense verb. Those who follow Jesus have eternal life. Not will get someday, have. Those who believe in me have eternal life. Those who come into this community have eternal life. In other words, the joy of living life to the fullest as a follower of Jesus is as comparable as what it means to enter heaven. And after all, John tells us that Lazarus may have been raised from the dead, but he died again. He's not walking around anymore. We can't say, oh, there's Lazarus. He ain't here. He's gone on. But this tale that John tells us about Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead is to say that this life matters too. And that even with the threats from the authorities, you as new Christians are meant to come alive even in the face of those threats. It's all about life and living it to the fullest. That's what John is telling us here today. That we are called to live, and to live as fully as we possibly can. To embrace life and hold it fast. To love so much that we embrace those around us that we love. To risk so much that we would be in a community even with those we don't like. To care for those who do not have the richness of life and allow them to experience it because we care about them. To walk outside and let the sun shine on our face. And if there's no sun, just to stare up at the clouds. And if the clouds turn to rain, then let the rain fall on our face and wash us clean. To live. And I know it's not always good. Life is sometimes awful. But we can embrace life even then. And when we are sad, allow ourselves to weep till our shoulders shake. And if we are ill and in the hospital, then invite our family and friends to come in and have a picnic. And if we are dying, to embrace the love of God, knowing that it has embraced us for our entire lives. To be able to give ourselves to a cause that we believe in so much that we will support it without anger, without wrath, without indignation, even at the risk of somebody setting free the water cannons and the dogs. To embrace life. It's like the poet Wendell Berry says, plant sequoias. What a ridiculous idea. We'll never be around to see them mature. Do it anyway. It's like the poet Mary Oliver says, waste an afternoon daring to ask the question, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? I know we're still in Lent, but this gospel is already pointing us to Easter. But it's pointing to Easter not as something that just happens in the next life, but something that happens right here, right now. Irenaeus, the great 2nd century theologian, said that the glory of God is the human being fully alive. You want to experience resurrection? Be that human being fully alive. And as these gospel lessons point out, it'll also really tick off those who think they're in charge. Jesus said that he came that we would have life and have it abundantly. So be the glory of God as the person fully alive and share that glory with the world around you.